Hello DCAC members, this is Jake with our 2019 MCA Testing Proficiency Report. To start off with, I just wanted to talk about our changing demographics in Roseville. We have 3 years of trend data, as well as data from 5, 10, and 15 years ago. It's important to start with this information as we compare our data to the state, and we're changing from the state. I add this slide in for context, not excuses. We all know that our students, regardless of their background, can and should learn at high levels. We see that our FRP is higher than the state, but has not increased beyond 48%. And it decreased last year, but back to our 2016-17 levels. Our English learner students' percentages have been about the same and even decreased from the previous 2 years. We continue to see an increase in our percent of students of color. We have significantly changed in our student demographics from 15 years ago and find that to be an asset to our district. We have also become less and less like the statewide averages in these areas, making us less comparable to the state. Which is why we actually look at comparison districts as well. Because we are less comparable to the state, we use these districts. These districts that we currently compare ourselves to, you'll see some of the data in later slides. So we have Bloomington, Burnsville, North St. Paul, Maplewood, Oakdale, Osseo, Robbinsdale, Austin, Invergrove Heights, West St. Paul, Mendota Heights, and Eagan, and then ourselves, and then the district-wide is the statewide is the last one. We chose these districts as they're more comparable to Roseville than our statewide averages, making a total of 8 districts that we compare ourselves to. So we'll take a look at our math proficiency data to start with. We have 5 years of trend data here, and this is all based on the MCA 3 math test. Our tested grades in math are grades 3 through 8 and 11. Overall, in Roseville, we decreased about a 0.5 percentage point, while the state decreased about 2 percentage points. Over the last 3 years, you can see that the state has been declining at a faster rate than Roseville area schools, thus the difference between our scores, and they have been decreasing as well, but we've gone from about 8 percentage points different from the state in 2017 to about a 6 percentage point difference in our 2019 scores. However, we would like to see our numbers going the opposite way for that decrease from the state. Looking at our MCA proficiency by grade, and then also by comparing ourselves to the state of Minnesota. This is also 3 years of trend data that looks at our proficiency compared to the state. We do have some of the most difficult math standards in the nation, and that's based on our NAEP and TIMS linking study. Grade 6, you can see, maintained from the previous year. Grade 7 showed an 8.5% point gain. Grade 6 is now above the state, and grade 7 is even with the state, and all of our other grade levels were below the statewide percentages. This is looking at our data by race and ethnicity. You can see an increase in our scores for our Black, Hispanic, and multiracial students from the previous year. And we saw our gaps between white students, Black, and multiracial students decrease over the previous year. Our multiracial students show an increase of 9 percentage points over the 3-year trend. Our white students show a slight decrease over the previous year. Our achievement gap between white students and students of color increased, and our achievement gaps continue to persist in our district-wide data and range between 27 to 41 percentage points. Looking at math proficiency by our special populations, we're looking at our groups, our English learners, our students with an IEP, gifted and talented students, students that have qualified for free and reduced price meals, and homeless students. We see that most student groups maintained their performance from the previous year, including students who qualified for free and reduced price meals, English learner students, and students with an IEP. We saw our GT students, our gifted and talented students, show a decrease. Looking at our math by student group and compared to our state, we see that that our Black students are slightly above the statewide proficiency, as well as our American Indian students. Our white students are above as well, and our other student groups are below. Comparing our math to some of our comparison districts, you'll see that this is a comparison of 3 years of data in math from 2017 to 2019 to our comparison districts. We see that there is a noticeable downward trend for all of our districts since 2017. However, Roseville Area Schools shows the least amount of decrease. The average percent proficient is 46% for our comparable districts, and Roseville performs higher than 5 other districts. All districts showed a decline from 2017. Our next slide shows our math by building for 3 years of testing. And you can see that increases from the previous year were at Edgerton, Emmett D. Williams, Harambe, and Rams. And we saw a large decline at Roz in terms of our 11th grade students in math. However, we did have about 24% of our 11th grade students that did not test over this previous year. So in summary, for our MCA math, we had math proficiency scores that decreased for both the district and the state. The difference between Roseville and the state is now 6 percentage points. Our tested grade levels, 3rd through 8th grade, and grade 11, grade 6 remained even and is now above the state. Grade 7 showed about an 8.5% point gain and is even with the state, but all our other grade levels are below the statewide proficiency percentages. Looking at our student groups, we saw an increase in scores for our Black, Hispanic, and multiracial students. Over the past 3 years, our multiracial students have increased about 9 percentage points. Our achievement gap decreased for Black and multiracial students, and overall our achievement gap between white students and students of color increased, and our range is from 27 to 41 percentage points. Students of color who qualify for free or reduced price meals, English learner students, and students with an IEP remained even. Our white and Black students are above the statewide proficiency percentages, while the rest of our student groups are below. Our comparable districts, we saw that all districts showed a noticeable downward trend over the past 3 years, and Roseville shows the least amount of decrease. Roseville performs higher than 5 other districts. In terms of our school results, we saw increases at Edgerton, Emmett D. Williams, Harambe, and Rams, and we saw a decrease at Roz in 11th grade, with almost a quarter of our students who did not test. We'll continue on with our MCA reading proficiency, and this is looking at our state compared to our district overall for all our grades tested. Again, in tested grades for reading are 3rd through 8th grade and 10th grade. Reading remains about even with the previous year for Roseville, and the state showed less than 1 percentage point decrease as well. We're about 3 percentage points away from the state, so about 3 percentage points different from the state. This is looking at our proficiency trend for Roseville and the state over 3 years. So you can see in Roseville in grades 4, 7, and 10 increased from the previous year. Grade 8 maintained about the same from the previous year. And grades 7 and 8 continued to show improvement over the 3-year trend. Since 2016, grade 7 has improved more than 12 points. Grade 8 has improved more than 9 percentage points. Grades 6 and 7 performed above the statewide average, and this is the first time since the MCA 3 in 2013 that 7th grade reading has performed above the state. That's something we are very proud of. Our MCA reading proficiency by race and ethnicity. So we're looking at Asian, Black, multiracial, and American Indian students all making gains over the previous year. Our white students did show a decrease, and our gaps between white students and Asian, American Indian, Black, and multiracial students decreased. Looking at our MCA by special populations, this slide again shows more student group trends, including for our English language learners, or EL, students with an IEP, gifted and talented students, our students who qualify for free and reduced price meals, as well as students who were homeless over the previous year. You do see that we had most groups decrease from the previous year. However, our English learners have shown a slight increase. Looking at our MCA by our student groups compared to the state, we see that American Indian students, Black students, white students, English learner students, or EL students, and students with an IEP all performed above the statewide proficiency rate. Looking at our comparison districts, we see that Roseville scores have remained relatively stable, while almost all of our comparable districts show a decrease. Roseville area schools performed above 7 of our 8 comparable districts this year, and the average for our comparable districts' proficiency percent was 52%, which is a drop of 3 percentage points from the previous year. Looking at our building information or data, we show a 3-year trend here. We see that Little Canada, Rams, and Bras showed improvement over the previous year. And from 2 years back, we see that Little Canada improved about 7 percentage points. Rams has improved about 6 percentage points. Harambe improved 4 percentage points, and Parkview has improved about 3 percentage points. So in summary, for all of our grades, our reading in Roseville and the state remained about even with the previous year. We saw there was about a 3 percentage point difference between Roseville and the statewide proficiency percentage. Our tested grades in 3 through 8 and 10, grades 4, 7, and 10 increased from the previous year, and since 2016, grade 7 improved more than 12 percentage points, and grade 8 improved more than 9 percentage points. Grades 6 and 7 performed above the statewide average, which is the first time since the MCA 3 that grade 7 has performed above the state. For our student groups, we had Asian, Black, multiracial, and American Indian students all make gains over the previous year. And our gaps between white students and Asian, American Indian, Black, and multiracial students decreased. American Indian students, Black students, white students, EL students, and students with an IEP all performed above the statewide proficiency percentages. Our English learners showed a slight increase, while decreases were shown for students who qualify for free or reduced meals, students with an IEP, our homeless students, and gifted and talented students. For our comparable districts, Roseville has remained about even, while most of our comparable districts show a decrease. The average proficiency percentage for comparable districts decreased about 3 percentage points, and Roseville performed above 7 of our 8 comparable districts. Our school results show that Little Canada, Rams, and Ras improved over the previous year, and over the past 3 years, Little Canada has improved 7 percentage points, Rams improved 6 percentage points, Harambe improved 4 percentage points, and Parkview has improved by 3 percentage points. We're going to move on to our MCA Science proficiency. For MCA Science, we'll look at our state compared to the district as well. So a reminder that our tested grades are only grades 5, 8, and high school after they take their biology course. We see that Roseville decreased about 3 percentage points and the state decreased about 2 percentage points from the previous year. We are now about 11 percentage points below the state. On our MCA Science by grade, over the past 3 years, we see that Roseville schools had a decrease in 5th and 8th grade, as well as in high school. And the state showed decreases in 5th and 8th grade only. Looking by race and ethnicity, we see multiracial students increased about 3 percentage points from the previous year. Otherwise, all other student groups declined. Our achievement gaps for most groups increased, and the range of gap between white students and students of color ranges from 21 percentage points to 45 percentage points. Looking at more of our student groups, we see that all of these groups, including English learners, students with an IEP, students who qualify for free and reduced price lunch or meals, our gifted and talented students, as well as our homeless students, all showed decreases over the previous year. Looking at our science scores for Roseville compared to the statewide proficiency for our particular groups, we see that white students and our English language learner students perform similarly to the statewide groups. However, the rest of our groups were below the statewide proficiency levels. Looking at our MCA science by comparable districts, we see that all of our comparable districts decreased in proficiency over the previous year, and the average comparable district score was 41 percentage points, which is a decline of 3 percentage points from the previous year. And Roseville only performs above 3 other comparable districts. So in summary, we see that Roseville decreased about 3 percentage points from the previous year, and the state decreased about 2 percentage points. We are about 11 percentage points below the state. Our tested grades, we see that we decreased in all of our grades that were tested, 5th, 8th, and high school, and the state only decreased in 5th and 8th grade. For our student groups, we had multiracial students show an increase, while all of our other students decreased. Our achievement gaps increased as well, ranging from 21 to 45 percentage points. Our white students and EL students performed similarly to statewide groups. However, all of our other student groups were below our statewide proficiency percentage. Compared to our other districts that we compare ourselves to, we find that we decreased, that they all decreased in proficiency over the previous year, and the average proficiency percentage of our comparable districts decreased by 3 percentage points. Roseville performed above only 3 other comparable districts. We'll have a more of a chance to discuss our results coming up at our upcoming DCAC meeting on Monday, October 28th. Thank you.